Okay, over to you.
We're good to go?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much, Amy. Welcome, councillors. Welcome, council officers. Welcome, Anne. It's nice to see you here. Just so that everybody knows, we are recording and it will be available on the council YouTube channel later on. Health and safety, in case anybody's in any doubt. If there is an emergency, please leave through the door up there, the door behind, meet in the playground left and wait until you're told to do something before you do it. So I shall start with a karakia and get it underway. Mihi o te rā, ki te whānau e hui huina, kia tā te rangi mawhiai, kia whakatapua tātou, mena mea, e whakapano ana tātou, aumea he hui ei.
Yeah.
And we've just got a little bit of business to do to start with, and we'll begin with apologies. I have an apology from Councillor McFawley, but everybody else is here. So I'll move that Councillor McFawley's apology be accepted. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pimmer. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Next thing, are there any conflicts of interest to declare? There being none, we'll move on. Now, in your agenda pack, there is a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Could somebody who was at the last hearings committee meeting move that we accept them, please? Councillor Gray, Councillor Plummer seconds. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Anything? I don't think there's anything that's likely to arise from those. So we're now going to move on to our submissions hearing on the regulatory policies, and then this consists of Easter trading and derelict buildings. And we are expecting, I think, 2 submitters, is that correct?
Yeah, we were contacted by Katie, I believe. So yeah, they are supposed to be here. I haven't had any confirmation that they weren't coming.
Right, okay. Well, as it would appear that they are not here, we're going to be listening to their submissions, which then means that I have a little script here that says, councillors, do you have any questions for the submitters? Even if you do.
They did submit in writing too.
Yes, they did. Right. So what we'll now move on to then is a deliberation on the regulatory policy, starting with the local Easter Sunday shop trading deliberations report. And you're coming to talk to us.
I am.
Excellent. Excellent.
I am. So with regards to the local Easter Sunday shop trading policy, I'll take the report as read. There were 24 submissions. They all indicated support for the status quo, which is maintaining the Easter Sunday shop trading policy. So under the Shop Hours Trading Act, it restricts trading for the majority of businesses on Easter Sunday. Councils are allowed to adopt a policy which allows shops to open on Easter Sunday should they so choose to do so. There's no obligation to employees to work on that day. They're able to not work if they choose to do so without giving or providing a reason and without penalty. We've had this policy in place for the last few years, and 24 submissions, or 100% of the submissions, indicated that they would prefer to continue with this policy to allow shops to open should they so choose. Now, this policy is not able to be delegated to the committee, so the hearings committee will need to make a recommendation to the 27th of September council meeting, whether or not they so choose to maintain status quo and adopt a new Easter Sunday shop trading policy, or if they choose to let this lapse and no longer allow specific shops to open on Easter Sunday.
Just one clarification here. It says that it does not enable shops to open for the sale of alcohol, but that's to do with retail shops, isn't it?
Yes.
So
yes.
it's not to do, so it's just a very small thing.
Yes.
But I do know that from working in
Yes.
the industry that.
So the
that
sale
we
of
can open
alcohol.
if we're providing a lunch or.
Yeah, so the sale of alcohol is covered under the
Sale and supply of alcohol.
Sale and Supply of
Yeah.
Alcohol Act.
2000.
And that,
2000. Yeah.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. And under the Shop Trading Hours Act, pharmacies, supermarkets are allowed to open. So this just is specific
That's just
to
in the-
of retail.
Retail.
businesses. Yeah.
Any other clarification? Okay, well, I think that was short and sweet. We have 6 recommendations in front of us. And my suggestion would be that recommendation 4, where it says note results of the consultation indicated the community's preference to retain the policy with no substantive amendments. I think it would be clearer if we indicated that in fact all 24 submitters prefer the status quo. So did you get my little amendment there? Okay, so that's to item 4. Okay, so I think we can take these as a group. I move that we adopt the 6 recommendations with number 4 amended to indicate 100% of public submission. Councillor Maynard seconds that. Is there any discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion.
Brave person to talk against it, I would have thought.
Okay, all in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, just a clarification.
Yes.
I had it in your script, but I don't think it's in the paper. It has the date of the meeting here for council as the 6th, but it's actually the 27th of September.
27th. Thank you for that correction.
Yeah.
Anybody objecting to that?
I agree.
Actually, as a suggestion, you could always try the next meeting, just in case. So anyway, thank you for that. And Katie, thank you very much. And I have commented to a government minister recently that this is an example of the sort of thing that put councils do quite a lot of work for no real advantage. And that person agreed. But anyway, thank you.
All your work on this, Kate, much appreciated.
So
I'll just stay here.
so we can move on quite a way to page 15 in my agenda item. And what we're going to now do is listen to Sarah Edney take us through her report.
It's both of us work
okay.
together. So as you know, councils are required to have a dangerous, affected and insanitary buildings policy, which was due for review under the Building Act. It requires that we do formal consultation. So we had gone ahead and done that. We've received 16 submissions. 5 of those were in clear support of the policy. And then another 9 requested that the policy take into account some specific buildings. Now, this policy would apply to the buildings that have been requested to be taken into consideration if they meet the criteria under the policy. And the criteria under the policy is outlined in the Building Act, and it's not criteria that we can just make up. So if any building, whether it be Featherston, Martinborough, Greytown, Coastal, if they meet the criteria, then this policy will apply to them. So we have gone through and provided the submission feedback, as well as provided a little bit of comment or recommended action. We have made one change, just minor to the policy, based on some feedback, which outlines that officers will report back to a complainant with the outcome, just sort of closing the loop, which was one of the suggestions that submission had, and we thought that fit quite well. So I'm not sure if there's any questions, but we're looking for, or the recommendation is for council to consider and then perhaps adopt this policy.
So just a question of process. So is this another policy like the previous one that has to be ultimately adopted by council?
No, so under legislation, this policy can be adopted by a committee. Just the local Easter Sunday shop trading is not able to be delegated to a committee for consideration. It needs to be considered by full council.
Thank you very much. So if I may start, in a way, the report is very much what I had anticipated it would support. But I think for many of us that still leaves a problem, because submitters have mentioned a particular group of buildings that give concern. I think that those submitters are going to be somewhat frustrated by the recommendations we're probably about to adopt. And so what can we say to those people that might offer them realistic expectation that actually we do take their concerns seriously?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, my interpretation of this, not my interpretation, I think the purpose of this is about increasing safety for residents and tenants. So it's for the buildings that are in use, and it's making sure that that people in buildings can know that those buildings are safe. The ones that have been submitted about aren't in use, so they're not covered by a policy that's about protecting people because people aren't in them.
I agree with that. Nevertheless, I do respect the views of those people who have submitted, and I'm wondering what it is that we might do or say that might show them that we are taking their concerns seriously.
We've met with the Featherston Community Board, and as a result of the open actions, requesting staff to just sort of look at some potential options for buildings that maybe could use some uplift. So we've spoke through a number of potential options for those. Like you said, it's a bit of a separate issue. So there's the policy, and then there's how to work on making some buildings in communities fit the feel that people are looking for in the town. So there are some potential options to consider. I'm happy to distribute that to all elected members if you wanted to sort of have a look and then have a bit of consideration about if there's a particular path you'd like to have moving forward.
But would there be a way that document you've just referred to could also be sent to the submitters who have expressed the concerns?
We could give that feedback via email. I wouldn't want to put in the policy document.
No. I'm
Okay.
thinking of a sort of a to the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've got to be careful that we don't sort of raise expectations that this is a panacea for all their problems. It's certainly not.
No,
Two different
that's-
different things from what we're looking at with regards to the policy. So yeah, it's a hard one because it's the policy. I think Councillor Gray actually gave a great synopsis. May have rounded out exactly what this part is about. And in effect, the others, but the other part, some of the other submissions in fact, don't fit with regards to this. However, the concerns that they have are real, and absolutely, normally anyone that submits receives something back to thank them for that, and just to let them know that their concerns have been noted. But with regards to this policy, I don't. It doesn't quite fit.
No, that's true.
Mm.
Often it's quite easy for bureaucratic organisations to come out with, well, the policy doesn't fit, so go away. And I prefer to have a response that shows that we are sensitive.
Yeah, it doesn't have to just be a thank you. It can be that, you know, that the concerns have been.
It'd almost just be addressed in a
Sorry,
Facebook post. Just saying, you know, we hear the concerns, we've done what we can, this policy does not cover that. But we have heard what you're saying and we'll
We
continue to work.
can do that,
Yeah.
but I prefer a individualised
Yeah.
response.
And there will be one.
Just reading
Covering both.
just having a quick flick through the Act, section 123, Amanda, you might want to look at that meaning of insanitary buildings. So buildings insanitary for the purposes of this Act, if the building is offensive or likely to be injurious to health because, and it's two, is in a state of disrepair. So you might want to have a look and have to see whether some of these buildings we're talking about fit into that particular clause.
Yep, okay, I can do that.
123A2.
Any other comments from anyone? Sarah, would you like to?
I honestly don't have any comments, no, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard policy. Council's required to have one. And there's clear definitions around what dangerous buildings are.
Right.
And it's, you're reading back on, there's a few case laws around dangerous buildings, and there's a very high threshold to have to meet.
Right.
Yeah, it's a collapse or otherwise, yeah. So it's pretty high that, but insanitary is not quite as high.
Yeah, so I can look into it.
I'm reading it.
Okay, if there are no more questions, councillors, we'll move to the resolutions, and we have 5. The first one is just noting that this is due for review. The second one, noting that we've consulted as we were required to do. We've received 16 submissions. Number 4, note that there were 2 members who wanted to speak, but they have not arrived. And then lastly,
Just before you, I don't think this is required now.
you don't.
It doesn't need to be recommended to council.
No, it doesn't.
It's not in here.
Okay, so on recommendation 5, consider the submissions received and adopt the proposed dangerous affected and insanitary buildings policy appendix 1. Do I have a mover? I do. Councillor Plummer, Councillor Maynard, second. Any discussion, comments from anybody? If not, I'll put it. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Right. Okay. So now we come to submissions on the speed review.
Thank you, but
They're actually booked in from 10 o'clock.
They apparently they are booked at
So we're
10
running-
o'clock.
so
But we do have, but we do have one submitter already here.
Oh, yes.
So I think, Anne, we'll invite you to the top table if we can. Thank you very much. And that way, if we do it now, Anne can proceed on their day's work. And the other thing I think we can say, Anne, that normally we would offer you 5 minutes talking time. And because we've got so many people, I would be normally reasonably disciplined about that. But because we've been in such good time, you will get some latitude.
sorry,
If you've got something good to say.
Mayor, it's dangerous territory.
It is,
It is very dangerous territory because this is a hearing.
it is, I agree. Yes, I think you're,
Extra to someone else.
yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm very sorry.
I'm good for 1 o'clock.
I knew you would be.
Don't want to take up the 40 anyway. Okay.
So
I don't want to get into difficulties.
the 5 minute stuff.
Kia ora koutou. First of all, I just really want to thank the committee. You did fantastic work for Amy and was it Katie who wrote whoever got the information. I just think it was a fantastic document. And I just really want to also acknowledge Amy's responsiveness in getting back. So kia ora. I do want to just refer to, you've got my written submission, but I'd like to refer to the photos that are supplied and also to refer to Joan Smith's written submission. I live on Underhill Road and I walk that road virtually every day. So I have a perhaps self-centered interest, and I've written to the previous councils before about, so I really just want to welcome the chance to provide a submission. There was a mistake in my written submission about, I think I said the sports ground. I have a real concern about the speed limit where the sports ground is. And I think I said Wakefield Street, but it's actually Underhill Road. And so the photos that I've supplied, I just want to talk about the narrowness of the road, the limited visibility, and the amount of traffic, both children, cars, trucks, but also pedestrians. Ever since COVID, Underhill Road is a fantastic place for people to use and walk, and they do. So the first picture is just outside my gate, and that was taken in summer, but it's the dust created from the, particularly the trucks. I'd have to say that the Warren's quarry trucks are very, very good. They are great drivers. Unfortunately, not all trucks that go down to that gravel pit are as aware, perhaps, of pedestrians. But the problem is this is a cycle. This is where the five cycleways trust goes as well. And you can see by the dust there that it's virtually impossible to see anything. Whether that be cars behind or cyclists or people walking. And it is incredibly, at the moment, for some reason, people like to treat the 100k limit as a target rather than perhaps thinking that they need to be responsible. The other remaining photos are taken, they were taken just recently. This shows you outside the sports ground. It would be great to have a sign that said something like, when children are present, is a reduced speed to 30 k's, because this is an incredibly dangerous area. It's a fantastic sports ground, but you can see here there's actually 3 buses that are parked in a big line, and the other photos, even though they weren't as good, I wasn't able to get up as close. Although there is grass and parking on the verge, in the winter, it is you can't park there unless you have four-wheel drive. I've been pulled out before. Tim Dittmar, who's got his earth moving business, has pulled out five vehicles on that grass verge. Even in summer when it is hard packed, it is very, very difficult to see young children if their cars are parked on both sides of the road, sausage sizzles, all sorts of things happening. You just have the potential for kids to be running out. There are dogs. It is incredibly, I just have my heart, and when I'm driving there past parked cars, just thinking it'd be great for the council to consider the health and safety of young families, mothers with pushchairs. I do have to say that I was slightly surprised, I guess, at some of the public submissions, and I'm willing to say that out loud, is that I can see that for some people they see it as a somehow that reducing the speed limit is a reduction of their individual rights. But I think the council has a responsibility to consider the health and safety of all its citizens. And in particular, Underhill Road is used a lot, and more so now with the cycleway there. And I think in terms of health and safety of the general public, it is a no exit road. It doesn't go anywhere. It goes to Bucks Road. That was the other submission that I made, that I also thought that Bucks Road should be included in the submission. But I just think that I'd love to see that the speed limit is reduced. Totally support the reduction to 60 miles per hour, but I would like to see a consideration of that sports ground as well, too, particularly when children are present, that maybe it's 30 kilometres, whatever is considered safe. So kia ora.
Thank you very much, Anne. So we have a little time left. There may be questions.
Yeah, I just got the, look at the one. How would you see the sort of variable speed outside the sports grounds working out? I know it well. My kids used to go there, so I understand exactly the problem. But how would you see? You know, because that's not something that is set times, like a drop off at school, for example, is a set time. This would just be so confusing.
Well, look, I'm happy for the council to just go 40 kilometres past the sports zone. It's just that I've noticed that there are other signs that say when children are present. I don't know what I'm not a road safety specialist, but I would just like to see that area is a significant reduction in speed, because part of the problem is where it hits, where that sports ground is, people know that there's 100 Ks coming up, so they actually speed up.
It's 50 past the sports field, isn't it?
It is, but the problem is you've got, I think, partly for people who use it, I have to say probably mostly residents, they just get so used to putting their foot down, and so they don't wait to that 100K to speed up. I'm not sure that I've actually answered your question.
No, that's right. It's a difficult one to answer.
Yeah, I must admit I was a bit confused with because I wasn't exactly sure where you were suggesting that the 60K started for Underhill Road. The 60K.
No, I was just interested in your.
Yeah, but that's to answer your question as well.
For my reading, the 60K would be where the current 100K starts.
Oh, okay, Kaupai. Yeah, okay.
That's my understanding of it.
Yeah. The other thing is, just very quickly, is that I don't know whether people are aware, you probably are, but there is that very narrows where that bridge is. And then Barbush Brown is the entrance to that. So you have young children.
It's very deceptive too, isn't it? That's
So that's the other critical area that always there's been a few near misses where young mothers, prams, dogs, young children are just suddenly emerge, and of course there's just no visibility, people can't see them.
Here's one on my left.
Yeah, I mean, just to point out that area that you're talking about, so it's not just Underhill Road, it's also Harrison Street West, Johnson Street. I would say it's a high pedestrian zone in general, because you've also got a swimming pool, the dog park, the train station, Barbush. Like there's everything, there's a lot of opportunity for pedestrian movement around that whole area. So I know that's not your submission, I think it's a separate thing, but I think, if we are looking at additional lower zones and have sort of standardised marking around that area.
I think that's something we support.
Yes.
Parks in general.
Thank you very much, Anne. We appreciate you coming along early.
That's fantastic.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
I would suggest we have a 30-minute adjournment. I know somebody wants to use it for gossip, and one of us wants to use it for coffee, and
I think
we can clear our email, and we can do all sorts of things. So let's come back at 10 o'clock.